Hi, everybody. Thank you for the introduction. Nadine spoke about a podcast platform, but that's going to be just behind, after a few notions I'm going to tell you about. And I just want to play a game with all of you. I have 3 pictures that represent 3 finish line of a running race, of a phase of my life. So basically, every picture shows a point of my life where I realized that somehow I was more mature than before. This is the first picture. It's going to come sooner or later on the screen. And let's start from trying to understand how I got to that point of doing that action. Perhaps you recognize that that is the European Parliament in Strasbourg. Let's start from when I was 18. I come from a tiny village of 2,000 people. I get the diploma, and everybody normally, in Italy of course I'm talking about, and everybody normally stops, because as soon as you have a diploma, then you can just go, get your job, start perhaps to have a family, and that would be it. People do not have the incentive to study, to go to university, and to develop their skills and to increase their knowledge. The 90% of my classmates, when I was in high school, decided to stop and not to pursue for an higher grade of education. Instead, I did. I was in the 10% of those who decided to move to a bigger city, a city of 150,000 people, to study international relations, in order to get something more, something that would go beyond Italy, something that would go beyond the borders that my country somehow is formed of. But that was not enough, because actually in that city there was nothing international, and I was studying international relations. So I decided to go to Brussels. We're getting closer to explaining what I was doing in that picture. I moved to Brussels. Brussels is an amazing place. Brussels is an international city. It's full of young people. It's full of people who can motivate you. It's full of people who can inspire you. It's full of people who travel and who know a lot of languages. And you get to know all of them. You get to interact. You get to travel as well, to follow their dreams that maybe some of them have passed to you. I owe a lot to Brussels. There is a big problem, that young people in that city can hardly find a way to survive, in the sense that normally, since the competition is very high and it's full of very competent young people, they tend to be underpaid or even non-paid for certain jobs or traineeships. This was not my main problem at the moment, since I was studying, but somehow I was picturing myself inside of that city, but then I wanted to solve some other issues. One of the issues was to be heard by European politicians, because I was studying European studies, and I was meeting a lot of people working in the Commission, in the European Parliament, in the European Council, but they were acting as if young people were not existing. I wanted young people to be heard from these people. So I decided to join an organization called Young European Leadership, so young people becoming leaders. And the main goal of this organization was to make young people from all over Europe go to Brussels, develop some feedbacks on the policies that the European institutions were working on, and to present them to all of the decision makers, to all of the policy makers that are in Brussels. There was another problem, and this is the second that I had. It was 2015 when the migration crisis hit the European continent. It was a migration management crisis. Management, it means that European leaders were not able to find a common solution, to agree on a common solution. Therefore, I started to say, it should be me to participate into the decision-making process in this sense with these European leaders, and to show what really people want them to achieve. So I created a pressure group called Uphold Europe, because we wanted to uphold, to support Europe in trying to face this challenge. Not only, another problem was that I wanted a lot of young people to to enjoy the European continent as it is, and to travel, to speak languages, to understand that Europe is just a big neighbor, and you just have to knock at the door of your neighbor to go and meet with this person. And you can easily do that by traveling by train. So I became an ambassador for the Free Interrail movement. Free Interrail basically has the purpose of giving to the teenagers who turn 18 the chance to go with a train ticket through several train stations around Europe to meet with peers. This is me participating in one of those conferences that I was organizing, trying to simulate the European Parliament, a member of the European Parliament in Strasbourg. Another picture. This is another finish line in another phase of my life. That is me with a very good friend called Ilario. We decided to start this podcast called Turbe Giovanili. What does Turbe Giovanili mean? Turbe basically does not really have a meaning in English, but I'll try to explain it. It's basically the feeling of being unhappy, of being not comfortable with what is surrounding you, as if you don't feel okay with the way the society is going and is growing. So basically we decided to make young people speak, because that is the big problem, that young people are not being involved. I came back to Italy when I started to do this, and young people in Italy are not represented. Young people in Italy are a minority, because of course elderly are more, and politicians normally speak to elderly, because young people often don't feel interested in politics. They don't go to vote. We have a big problem with that. Also, youth unemployment is very high. Therefore, young people are simply discouraged. They are not incentivized into participating into the society, into the decision-making process. And we realized that in our city of 150,000 people, it's full of young people who are not being heard, who are doing a lot of experiences abroad and not in Italy, who are studying in Italy and who go abroad to spend all the knowledge they have earned in Italy. Basically, Italy is investing a lot in the studies of these people, in the academic career of these people, but Italy is not benefiting from that because it lets everybody go out. So we just wanted all the people from Ravenna, the town where we started this podcast, to speak out and to tell everybody what they can do for their own town and what Ravenna is missing out of them who go out and go around, basically. We will soon be also on YouTube. We started the first series. We were talking about top topics like gender equality, youth employment, as well as the European Union, in order to tell all the young people what their peers of the same age think about those topics. In the next series, we will make everybody talk about the way they can contribute to the city in order to make it an international city. It's easy to go to Brussels and to live into an international environment. There's hundreds of thousands of people living over there, but instead when you go to a small town in Ravenna, in Italy, like Ravenna, you do not have the same feeling of being in an international environment, but it's full of young people who are willing to do that for their town, and this is probably going to be a good step forward in order to reach that goal. The last picture, it's a composition of three of them, but it's on the same. They were taken on the same day. This, well, you can read SARDINE, the 6,000 sardines. It's a movement you perhaps have heard of. It all started in my region, the region of Emilia-Romagna, in November, when we were 3 months ahead of the 26th of January 2020, when regional elections would take place. We woke up one day and we all realized that populism would have won. Populism would have conquered a region in which the values of integration, of sharing, are very strong, are deeply rooted into our society. The problem with populism is that gives simple replies to complex problems of people. And that is not enough. That is not enough to have a progressive society and to make sure that people are being involved into the society they live and they will live in. So we called everybody to come to town and to go to the streets. These pictures were taken on the 5th of December 2019. The city, again, is Ravenna. You have to consider that in those pictures, there are 7,000 people in a city of 150,000, which is a super unexpected result we were all happy about. The Sardines basically are calling everybody to go into the streets and to point the finger against themselves, saying, me as individual, I am responsible for the way the politicians are behaving, for the way the society is going to grow. And this responsibility can be translated in just one simple action, which is the right to vote. So we were inviting everybody to be conscious and aware of the importance of going to the polls and to vote. Not only we were sending this message to citizens and to voters, but also we wanted to talk to politicians, asking them to become more responsible towards people and towards all of the promises that they were making, to propose something concrete and not only to give short political slogans that would satisfy the belly but not the brain of the voters. I am going to conclude my sparkling input with 3 messages. Of course, if I could, I would have spoken for more time. The 3 messages are, the first, that we are all filled with untapped potential. If we can dream something, we can really achieve it. We just have to find a way to achieve it. The second is that we should never forget that a successful person is not somebody who never fails. A successful person is somebody who falls 9 times and is able to stand up 10. And to all the young people present here, I just want to send you the message of always disagree with those who say young people are the future, because it's not true, because young people, so we are the present. Thank you.